Moving to Spokane, there are some insider tips that locals know that newcomers usually find out the hard way. We're going to break down 5 need-to-know insider tips in this video. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Living in Spokane, Washington. If you're new here, my name is Hunter McKay, and I'm your local real estate broker. With over 10 years of experience helping people find their dream home in Spokane, I'm sure to have all of the insider tips and tricks that you need to know in order to make sure relocating to Spokane is as smooth as you can make it. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get into it. All right, first thing we need to talk about is neighborhood dynamics. I remember when I relocated, I thought Spokane is so small, it only takes 30 minutes to get places. This became very clear to me that 30 minutes might as well be boarding a jet to a different planet. They don't want to travel more than 5 to 15 minutes. And you will find that when you become a local Spokaneite, you don't want to travel more than 15 minutes. It's normal. There is no traffic in the city outside of the singular rush hour that exists from 8:30 to 9:30 and 4:30 to 5:30. Otherwise, if there's traffic, there's an accident. I'm not kidding. If you're coming from a bigger city, you will be astounded by what people complain about as traffic. This is a great thing, but it also is interesting because if you find that you are a person on the north side, you're going to stay on the north side. If you become a South Hill person, you're going to stay on the South Hill. I am a realtor, and so I find fascination with all of the different neighborhoods, but I am always amazed by how many people go, oh no, I couldn't possibly, that's far too far away. And it's like 10 minutes down the road. But it's just important to understand that the neighborhoods in Spokane are very cliquey. They like what they like, and that's okay. It just means that if you have kids and you're going to a private school, people are going to be friends inside their own neighborhoods. They're going to find resources inside their own neighborhoods. They're going to find churches and community events inside their own neighborhoods. It's pretty uncommon for people to go all the way across town to an event or to an experience that is outside of their neighborhood. And I don't know if it's laziness. I don't know if it's the weather or the snow. It just seems to be habit. And honestly, I even fall prey to it. I really like the neighborhoods and experiences and restaurants that are all within 5 minutes of my house. And even as I've moved from different areas, I find that that tends to be pretty consistent. And so learn which neighborhood you vibe with the most, because that's going to be where you spend the most time. Even if you're thinking to yourself, but Hunter, I'm from Texas. I usually drive 2 hours for things. It's totally normal. Yeah, I get that it's normal in Texas to drive 1 hour to 2 hours for things, but it's not here. And so even when you get settled, you're going to find that you're going to spend everything that you want to do inside your own little radius of the neighborhood. And so learn the different neighborhoods and figure out where you're going to fit best. If you want more information on neighborhoods, we've done another video that's going to be linked down below, and you can go take a look at it. It gives you lots of different information about South Hill, Kendall Yards, 5 Mile, and Perry District. And so, and Liberty Lake. All 5 really great neighborhoods to consider, and we'll be sure to do videos on more. The second thing I want to talk about is a car-centric infrastructure. Yes, we have a public bus system, and maybe I'm just not very good at using it, but I just don't feel like it's a very effective bus system. There are a lot of places where you're walking 10, 15 minutes for a bus stop, and there is a good core bus infrastructure downtown, but there's a lot of big rural areas to Spokane and a lot of big neighborhood developments that are outside of the city center. And it just doesn't seem to me that the bus system or public transportation system is that strong. So this is a very car-centric area, and even though most of your life is going to be within 5 to 15 minutes of you, it's 5 to 15 minutes by car. And if you're doing all of that with public transport, I think it's going to be a pretty big ask of you and your family. And so if you're coming from an area that has really strong public transportation, that's just something to keep in mind. The Spokane downtown core is extremely walkable, and Kendall Yards and Perry District are also known for their walkability. But I would say that anywhere that is not those 3 areas, you really want to get there by a car. And even if you live in those 3 areas, you're still likely going to want a car. I don't know very many people that find living in Spokane fun without a vehicle. So one thing to keep in mind. Third thing that Spokane is secretly known for, although I'm not really sure that this is a big secret anymore, is how much wonderful outdoor amenities we have. There are an incredible amount of hiking trails, parks, and forests, and not to mention something like 30 lakes within 45 minutes to an hour. If you increase that to 2.5 hours, there are endless numbers of opportunities for half-day or full-day campouts, and so many different places to experience around if you love nature. If you're into biking, even something like an urban house like I mentioned in Kendall Yards, you are still minutes from a biking trail. And so one of my housemates, he loves that he can be 5 minutes from downtown and also 5 minutes from the river. And so there's a lot of really amazing parts of Spokane if you love nature. The fourth thing I want to talk about is community events. This was something that really surprised me and honestly continues to be one of my favorite parts about Spokane. We have so many really huge events. Hoop Fest is the #1 largest 3-on-3 basketball tournament in America. And we also have Bloomsday, which is this massive running event that brings people in from all over the world. And those are just two of them. There are also a number of arts and culture events, and Train is a big one that happens every year in the Browns Addition area that brings so many different artists from around the country to present and exhibit in our area. And it's really cool that a town that isn't necessarily the biggest like Spokane can still attract all of this really desirable community events and attention. It can be a lot of fun for the locals, but it can also bring a lot of necessary commerce to the city that can make a lot of money for businesses that are participating in the events. Reading my notes, I actually want to go back and correct that Hoop Fest is the world's largest 3-on-3 basketball championship, and I had no idea. I thought it was just like the biggest in the country. Turns out it's biggest in the world. That's crazy. All right, the fifth thing that I want to talk about is weather variability. Yes, Spokane has 4 seasons, but what does that really mean? It means we can have all 4 seasons in one day. I wish I was kidding. I really love Spokane summer. There is not a better place in the world to live than Spokane in June, July, and August. Truly a beautiful Garden of Eden. It is usually not above 100 degrees, mostly stays around that 85, 90. Yes, we can have hot days in the August months and July, but we have so many lakes. That's the time to go to lake weather. It's so beautiful. And there's usually not big storms during the summer. Yes, we can have some rainy days here and there. There's always going to be weather, but for the most part, it is 90 days of beautiful blue sky and sun. September and parts of October can start to turn into fall. They tend to still be warmer months, but you get to start breaking out the fall jackets. November, December is when the snow starts to hit, and it can get really cold really fast. It can also be very important to be prepared for things like ice storms, where we can have, rain that turns to ice as it hits the ground, and that's usually my least favorite time to be there. I wish I lived in California, not gonna lie. That being said, it's also some of the best ski seasons, not in ice storms, of course, but when we have a lot of snow, that's when everyone who loves to ski and snowboard and go, hiking in the snow goes up to Mount Spokane and Schweitzer and 49 degrees north. And so as long as you enjoy and embrace the 4 seasons, you can have a lot of fun regardless of what the weather is. And spring, I think, is probably the most finicky, fickle weather. That can be anywhere from February all the way through March, April, May. It decides when it wants to shift. Sometimes we have really early spring and it can get a little warm, but we also have kind of our fake winters that kind of sleek back in and remind us that, just because it's April doesn't mean that it can't have a quick snow flurry. And so right now we've been having a pretty mild and warm spring, which has been pretty nice. But I definitely have remembered, March snowstorms. And so, no, they don't stick. Yes, it warms right back up, but it's really important to just know that, don't do your spring planting too early. I've had a lot of clients go, I planted in late February thinking it would be okay. No, that's foolish. February is far too early to be doing anything. That's still full winter. I am not a big versatile weather person, and so my favorite seasons in Spokane are always going to be spring and summer. But there are a lot of people that tell me that fall and winter are their favorite seasons because they don't like the hot and they prefer it to be, a little bit more on the cooler side. Spokane is wonderful because with 4 seasons, there's a little bit for everyone. And if you don't like the weather, wait a couple of weeks. It'll change. Don't worry. If you found any of these insights helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to future videos. It really helps us out. And if you have any questions or additional insights that you want to add, please drop it in the comments below, or feel free to message me. I would look forward to chatting with all of you. Talk to you soon. Thanks for being here.